Hello and welcome to the first ever video on my channel. Today we'll be starting an experiment, and the aim of this experiment is to see if India can dominate world football. With a population of over 1 billion people, they should be able to produce enough talent to be able to win everything. We are going to keep an eye on all their improvements, all of the things India does as a nation, and I will keep you up to date with everything that happens during this experiment. As you can see and probably already know, India is not really a powerhouse when it comes to football. The main sports are of course cricket, where they dominate the world with Pakistan and supposedly England. As you can see, the world ranking, they're the 152nd nation in the world. That ranks them with nations like, just let me scroll to Chad, Cuba, Azerbaijan, New Caledonia even, which is Vanuatu, which is even a smaller island, Aruba, which is extremely small, just above Venezuela, next to Curacao, South Sudan, Mauritius. So with a nation that big, they should be able to at least get in the top 40 or 30. And the main aim of this experiment is to see if India can be a powerhouse in world football, or even one of the best nations. But that might be a stretch, since it's not very likely that there will be a huge power. If we take a look at the schedule of India, we can see that they've just played the Asian Cup qualifiers, where they were in Group D. As you can see, it didn't go too well. Tajikistan and Jordan managed to beat India here, which is not something to be proud of. And if we can see, there's also a competition where I'll show you, where they'll play these nations which are just around them. Of course, they should be able to dominate this quite easily, because all these nations around them are nowhere near as big and as powerful as India. So we will probably see India dominate this competition, which is something I want them to do. As all of you probably already know, the World Cup will take place in 2018. For this experiment, I decided to kind of skip the World Cup of 2018 and go straight to the World Cup of 2022, since India is not qualifying for the World Cup, and I want to see if they are able to qualify for the next World Cup. So that's why I take a leap of 5 years. And when we get to the 2022 World Cup, we'll take a look at everything, how the nation developed. And then we'll skip another 4 years to the 2026 World Cup to see if they managed to qualify for that tournament. So here is the current first squad of India. As you can tell, it's a good, balanced squad, but I got the current ability and the potential ability here. So you can see that the best player has a current ability of 105 with a potential ability of 113. He's most likely not going to make it to 113, but 105 it's not a bad player. It's, as you can tell, because it goes from 1 till 200. So it's just bang average. It's not good, not bad, but as a goalkeeper, you can see aerial reach 13. It's not a bad goalkeeper. So you can't really blame him on that. And then, the next player is just 99, which is the same, not bad, but he's already 33 years old, so you just might have a few more games in him before he retires. And then it just goes downhill. The next player is 68 current ability, which is just not good enough. And then they even have a guy with 43 current ability. I mean, I think he changed his nationality. He was place of birth is unknown. Okay, that's not really helping. I don't know. I guess he stayed in India all the time. But they really need to improve on their squad, because with these type of players, they won't make it. It's just simply not good enough. And even in the under 23, it's just bad. And here it's even worse. Current ability 28. It might even not be good enough to play in the Vanarama National League South or North. That's this bad. So, what did I do to make India go from a bad footballing nation to a good football nation? As you can tell, we are on the RTL I League, which is the division in India. By the way, the divisions in India are kind of strange. Since I used the database that's already in the game, I didn't download my own database or made my own. I just used the one that's on Steam on the game already. I made a few slight adjustments in the editor, which made it easier for players to get into these clubs. But reputation-wise, the clubs in our division aren't even the highest here. You can see, like, all these teams have, I don't know, their reputation is better. They play in a different division, which is not in the game. I think it's for some legal reasons. I'm not quite sure. But let's again take a look at our division, which is the 31st division in Asia, which is, of course, not very good. Let's just say that. The top 5 is the South Korean, Japanese, Saudi Arabian, Chinese, of course, with their big spending clubs, and Qatar. I guess that's how you say it. I'm not sure. So we need to see our league improve and go above all these like mediocre leagues. It has to be bigger, and the reputation has to go up for players to want to come play in India and decide to make our clubs better. So what have I done? I've given all these clubs £1 billion, or euros, as you will. I've used the in-game editor. I've given them, well, 9999, but you can't actually type in 1 billion because it won't work, so you have to just do one less. And I've also improved all of their facilities, so they should bring in excellent youth players for our nation and to see the nation develop as a whole. So of course you have all the cups and all the other things, but we also have like the Asian Champions League. So let's take a look at that. So here we are on the Asian Champions League. As you can see, a lot of different teams have won it lately. Yeonbuk Hyundai, I think they're from South Korea. Then Gwangju Evergrande, Chinese. They're Australian Chinese. I guess they'd be South Korean as well. So we want our Indian teams to break in this group of teams and win. But unfortunately, I think, and well, I don't, of course I don't hope, but I think the Chinese teams will likely dominate this competition for the future, for a long time, because of the money they have and the players they can bring in and the reputation they have as a nation. So it might be tough for our teams to break into this competition. Of course, you have players like Xavi, who's awesome in this game, still is. And Hulk is playing here. So it might be very tough for our teams to break into this group of teams and be successful. But of course, we're going to hope for the best. So from this point onward, I'll holiday into the future, and I'll see you when it's 2022, and hope that India have managed to make the World Cup. Hello everyone, and welcome in 2022. As you can see, we're on the Indian nation screen, and the first thing that I noticed was that they increased by around 70 places on the world ranking. They are now the 79th nation in the world, which is of course a good improvement on where we were. I think the league got improved, but we'll take a look at that in a minute, not now. The first thing I want to see is their schedule. Did they make the World Cup? Looking from this screen, no, I don't think they did. So that's a shame. Let's take a look at the qualifiers then. So as you can see, they didn't play in the first round. Did they play? Okay, so the groups. So in order for these Asian teams to make the World Cup, they have to play a lot of games. There is a first round for the nations that are like really low on the world rankings. Then all the other teams that either qualified from those first games or are just a bit higher on the world rankings, they qualify for this second round group stage thing. And as you can see, India, well, they were lucky with their group. Oman, Turkmenistan, Hong Kong, and East Timor. I guess you would have to win this. So as you can see, they did. They drew against Oman and lost away at Oman. But luckily for India, Oman did not perform very well. So then is the final stage. So of course you have Japan, Iran, South Korea, China, and sometimes even Saudi Arabia or some other nations which are likely to perform well in this. So our Indian warriors weren't able to qualify from this group stage. So at this point the qualifying stage ends for our nation. So the road ended here and there was no World Cup for India. So that's better luck next year. Uzbekistan made it to the World Cup, or did they? No, they didn't. They lost against Peru, but that's impressive from Uzbekistan. So let us now go and take a look at the league, the RTI I-League. Oh, it improved a lot. Went from 31st to 19th to 13th. They're now the 13th division in Asia, which is good. I hope they can improve for the years to come and be one of the best nations in this continent. As you can see, Mohun Bagan won it 3 times. East Bengal and Shillong Layong also managed to win 1 title. So let's just see who won the cups. So these teams, East Bengal won it 3 times and Aizawi FC won it twice. And the Federation Cup was won by Mohun Bagan twice, East Bengal twice, and the Roka won it once. So let us go back to the RTI I-League and see if these teams have made any big transfers. So let's go back to the first year, which saw them make, well, a few transfers, but not any noteworthy things, like 29.5k. It's not very impressive. Then Gokulam made 2 big signings, and Shivajans made a big signing. Julio Pereira went from Cerro Porteño, to India, and he's already had 3 different teams in India, so it's going good for him. And Lasse Fehling, an Austrian, he also decided to move to India. And then the years after, well, the transfer fees are not very impressive when you think about the fact that these teams have £1 billion in the bank. But they decided to get a player from Corinthians, which is impressive. Then some teams I don't quite know, and they decided, and they bought players from each other in the league. Then River Plate, Palmeiras, Cerro Porteño as well, the Paraguayan team. So they're deciding to spend a little bit more money. So this is an Argentinian youngster. Oh, he's already back in Argentina. Oh, that's a shame. Because the thing that I hope is that some of these players decide to become Indian citizens, which would be massive for our nation if they can attract big name players to decide and play for them. So this was last season. Again, a lot of transfers within the league, which is again disappointing. And again, a lot of transfers within the league, but they did buy a player from Santos and ASEC, which is one of the Ivory Coast like wonder kid generators. A lot of really good players come from this team. So let us have a look at the national team from India. See if they've made any improvements at all. Oh, that's the wrong thing. I need this one. Well, again, it's disappointing. There's not really a lot of good players, but there is a lot of players with good potential. This guy, well, these players, they have a lot of potential, but I doubt they'll make it because they really need to move to Europe to be able to get to their potential. But he could be a very good player. Also very young. It's an extremely young squad. Their highest, the oldest player is 20 years old. But as you can see, there's a lot of potential in this team. And I hope they can fulfill that potential. Here it's okay. In the under 20s, well, that's not what I wanted to see. And here it's also not very exciting, but I guess all the good players are moved into the first squad, so you can't really blame them for doing that. So let us then have a quick look at the other competitions India played in. And this is the SAF Championship, which has been won by India for the last 3 years. So that's good. But we expected them to dominate this competition, so that's no big surprise. And then there is the Asian Euros, so to speak. But has it been played yet? I don't think so. So, I guess we'll see each other in another 4 years. So, let's go in the future and see what happens. So, welcome back to India. It's the 14th of December 2026, and we are going to have a look at how India got on in the last 4 years. So, as you can see, they're now the 71st nation in the world. They've been going up and down since ever the start of this experiment. They've been up as high as 27th, which is impressive to say the least. So I hope that they can get back to these heights. So they started, it's like the 152nd, and they've made a lot of improvement. I'm really proud of our nation, of our boys. I'm not actually Indian, by the way. So let's have a look at the schedule. Did they make the World Cup? Well, most likely not, which is a shame. So I guess they did win this competition again for like the last 3 years, or no, 2 years. So let's see how they go on in the qualifiers. Did they be able to... Okay, let's go back and see the second round where all the nations go in. Where is India? Oh, okay, they finished second behind South Korea. I'm very sorry. So that's not bad. I guess they lost twice to South Korea. But South Korea is one of the footballing powerhouses of Asia. So it's not a big deal, but it's a shame they didn't manage to qualify from the... Well, okay, I'll take back everything I just said. This is one of the hardest groups they could have gotten. South Korea, Japan, and China. They are big. They're starting to, or are already big nations in football. Japan and South Korea, of course, and China is developing a lot. But they just finished 1 point behind China, which is... It's a shame. It's very unfortunate for our boys. So I think we see China beat Oman to get to the playoffs. And did China? Yeah, China made it. Or they had to face Jamaica. That's a lucky draw for them. So let's quickly have a look at the League of India. Let me find India. Okay, so the league, has it improved? It has, but just very slightly. We've seen East Bengal, Mohan Bagan, Aizabi win it twice. So I like the fact that it's not the same teams winning it over and over and over again. I think this is like best you can have. So let's take a quick look at the transfers. It's still, let's go back to, I guess it's, oh, I forgot, this is bad. I guess here. So Jimmy Bora is mentioned twice here. He is an Indian player, and he's been, well, basically everywhere in India. He's had all the teams. Almost. So let's just take a quick look at him. I mean, 2.2 million, was it? For, oh, okay, so, well, the least said about that, the better. So let's go to the next season. So they decided to get a lot of players from South America, one from Estudiantes in Argentina, Corteba Flamengo from Brazil. They're good players. Like I said, I hope these players decide to become Indian nationals so they can improve our national team quite drastically, because we really need it. We really need the influx of quality, which it won't be likely that India will produce many exceptional players. So as well, Grêmio decided to sell someone to India, and then Luis Fernando decided to go back to Brazil. But he came, I guess he came from Chapecoense. Yeah, he came to India, just played 6 games and decided to leave back to Brazil. I guess he didn't really like it in India. But there's a lot of transfers within the league as well. Because as you can see, all these teams are deciding to sell players to one another. But the fees are getting higher, which is a thing I like to see, because that really shows me that money is getting spent and people decide to actually invest in good players. So again, we can see Brazilians moving to India, and oh, he's already back at Palmeiras. So I guess the Brazilians don't really like it in India. I guess he's Chilean. Yeah, he is. He's still in India. He's doing okay. But it's a lot of transfers within the league and people moving out of it. But the transfer fees are being kind of steady. Not that much money spent, but it's a good transfer fee overall for all these players. So let's have a look at the cups and see who've won those. So it's again a mixture of teams winning it. I guess it's not bad. So let's have a look at some other international cups India plays. So here we have the Asian Cup, which has been won by Australia and Japan the last few times. The next edition is 2027, which we'll look at in the next episode. But India are in the group with Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, which is a group they should be able to progress in. And I hope they manage to put on a good display in this competition. So let's have a quick look at the Asian Champions League, which we didn't last time. And also there's an Asian equivalent of the Europa League. So we'll have a look at these two competitions, and then we'll holiday to 2030. But that will have to wait till the next episode. So see you at the Asian Champions League. Well, this is quite disappointing. As you can see, the last 9 editions have been won by, well, no, the last 9 editions and one has been won by a Japanese team, Gamba Osaka, but all the other 8 have been won by Chinese teams. So That's really disappointing. Oh, it's 9. I'm very sorry. But we have not seen an Indian team make the final. So we'll keep an eye on this competition and see if they manage to make the finals in the coming years. So let's go down a competition and we'll go to the Asian Europa League. Whoa, I didn't expect to see this, but since 2020, all of these tournaments have been won by Indian teams. This is really surprising. So they did manage to dominate this competition. And even the last 4 years, only one other team from outside of India made it into the final. I guess Toshkent, is it Tajikistan? Is it? No, it's Uzbekistan. I'm very sorry from the people from there. But Lokomotiv Toshkent managed to make the final but lost to East Bengal, which is of course one of our Indian teams. So, I hope to see you in the next episode when we'll look at another 8 years of progression of the Indian nation, the Indian League, and the Indian national team. So I hope to see you in the next episode. I'll say to you, goodbye.